Dan's a fantastic man. He really is.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome.
What's going on, everybody? It's Dan French. It's what is it, Monday or Tuesday or Saturday?
Saturday.
Is it Saturday already?
It's already Saturday. What's going on, buddy? How are you? This is the podcast, French Workbench Podcast, on a Saturday. Every Saturday, we're streaming live from 10 to 11 a.m. I'm your host, Dan French. And also, if you guys have any questions, comments, leave them in the comment section. You can also join us live. And also, we are the most real and behind-the-scenes information regarding financing, real estate, money talk, entrepreneurs through on-job experience here in Las Vegas. And let's go ahead and introduce everybody that's in studio here today with me again. We're going to talk about property management. We're going to talk about real estate. We're going to talk about builders and the supply chain. We got a lot of good information. Some of the challenges, people out there, they want to buy a new home. Some of the problems is they get into maybe a lottery. They get into a position where they want to buy a new house. And what happens is they're on a waiting list. And so why is that happening? There's a lot of reasons behind that. We're going to talk about it. Also too, the supply chain and construction, we're going to talk about where that's sitting. So let's introduce Mr. Rick Rains. What's up, buddy? How are you?
Good morning, Dan. Good morning, everybody out there. Everything's going good?
Yeah. Anything new with you, buddy?
Hey, it's continuing. I mean, we signed a lot of leases this last week, got a few property management agreements. So
yeah,
we are just humming.
You're just humming.
Going along.
So isn't rent still going crazy, or is it slowing down for that?
It's slowing down.
Yeah.
It's slowing down. But again, the expansion, we'll call it, the expansion of the number of rentals has gone up again this week, but only by a little bit. So we're pretty much holding steady.
So what do you do, Rick, as far as, take me through the process real quick, as far as you dressing up today and why you changed your mind on that?
Because the rest of us are lame and can't keep a promise, right, Rick?
Yeah, that's
so Rick, you were
pretty
dressed,
much it.
Rick, you dressed up like a champ today. You came in all ready to go. You had the Indian suit on. So what happened?
Okay, so I didn't want to be the lone wolf, but I was dressing up as one of the Native Americans. All right, and I chose that because I think that we lose focus on the effect that they had on this great nation. Without them, the settlers would have died blank. I mean, that's a foregone conclusion. So without them, I basically wanted to be dressing up as the hero.
Gotcha.
And
so I mean, you look like Sitting Bull coming in. So you had the whole thing, man. You had the whole setup. So
yeah. Well, maybe we should have him put it on like halfway through.
All right, let's go ahead and introduce over here. We got Brett Jenny. What's up, buddy? How are you?
I told you.
What'd you do?
Realtor formerly known as Brett.
The Realtor formerly. Who are you now,
wait,
buddy?
Are you going to talk in the third person?
Chibi Dino. That's my part of my NFT collection.
Right?
That's my new
NFT.
online identity.
Gosh,
I'm the Realtor formerly known as Brett. I'm a Chibi Dino.
and the NFTs are the little pictures
Yeah.
that sell for like $1 billion.
Yeah, I own like $1,000 in pictures, in JPEGs.
Yeah.
Hey, let me just say this. You don't think twice about that? Like, you don't think, like, what do I actually own? I'm curious about that.
So I never stick in enough where I'm not going to be able to pay my bills, right?
Right.
Number two, the best way that I get into something is I just go full force and I throw my money into it because that forces my attention to it.
Right.
And that's just how I learn best.
Wow.
I bully myself, basically.
Yeah, so you didn't drink any red line today, huh?
No, man, I'm actually kind of tired.
Hey, the way you're sitting's perfect, man. Go ahead and cross those arms, assume the position. That way you keep those hands up.
I think that I might go by Brett again by the end of the podcast.
Okay. Let's introduce Joe Dragon. What have you been up to, Joe, man? What's happening with you?
Just been listening to Brett over here.
That in itself is something to do.
Brett said he could talk about himself for how many hours, Brett?
A couple hours, bare minimum.
And then when you get red line, it turns into like, what, 4 hours?
Yeah.
I mean, you could just sit there and just
I got to constantly shut myself down. It's all good.
Yeah.
spitball about Brett.
But you got a doctor regularly? Make sure that heart's still working? Or is it good?
Yeah.
Blood pressure's good, all that. We don't want to lose you, Brett.
Diet and exercise is my doctor.
Diet and exercise.
Yeah, diet and exercise is my doctor.
On red line and treadmills.
All right, so let's talk about what our topics will be about today. So let's get into it. The first topic I want to talk about is new home builders, and we were going to bring somebody on about the amount of homes that are shortage right now as far as new builds. They don't have the materials. They still have issues with that. You look at the price, the producer price index, which dropped nearly 1% in August. You're looking at these numbers, and it's saying this: the starts are great, the permits are great for builders. Now, they're starting to see a little bit better numbers as far as the overall materials. Construction workers are still a problem, but it's getting a little bit better. Now, the problem they have is that you got permits, and then when you go to complete the home, they're having issues completing the home. So they're getting people in the process of buying by getting permits started. But as far as getting all the labor, getting all the materials at the end, and finding out that they can get the home to close on time is still an issue. And I want to talk about it because you look at the materials and you look at the costs. Now, you look at drywall, that was skyrocketed, pre or post COVID, right? And then we see drywall that's actually gone up a lot of the costs on that. Then you look at also construction overall. We're still 14% higher, or we were at 14% higher for material costs, which has come down a little bit for some of these builders out there.
You can't get any material here.
Well,
Yeah.
look, listen, what do you mean by that, Brett?
Well, I mean, that pretty much explains the whole, it's easy to start something and it's hard to finish something.
Well, look,
because the fact, the reality is that you have all of these supply chains backed up beyond belief. So what's it going to take to get that to freed up? It's a lot of bureaucratic
But from what I understand,
bullshit.
one of the main problems, it's not the materials themselves, it's the labor force that's handling the logistics. For instance, you had the Port of LA, which was totally blacked up or what. They have the materials there.
Yep.
You have crane operating.
That's why they're all backed up.
You have crane operated unions because we need people overtime, we need this stuff, and they say no, it's not in our contract. And they're sitting back and they're just sitting there.
So it's there, but that's what I'm saying is try to actually get it here.
Yeah.
It's
the lumber has dropped now half. It was at its peak last year. And now it's dropped about half the cost.
Yeah.
And you look at
which we predicted, by the way. Everybody was freaking out.
Right.
It's fires. It's just simple,
300%
simple economics why that was happening. Don't freak out. Don't build a house right then, right? That was
right. Also,
anyhow.
steel mills, right? The steel mill product prices rose 5%. So a lot of the data is showing that in some ways that it's gotten better and in some ways it's not. And they're still, the builders are still, it's challenging to get all the stuff and everything in and get the home completed. And I'm going to tell you that majority of the people that I work with, I'm going to say majority of them are having to have extensions. And is it going to stop
every single person that I have in contract for a new home build, they're all not only extended, but like 3 or 4 months.
Right.
I'm supposed to have 2 that were supposed to close in October.
So-
they're not going to happen until end of January.
I have a question.
At best.
Yeah, go Rick.
I got a question. What do you think is going to happen, if anything, the fact that Florida has opened up and is taking all of these ships that have been delayed and they're bringing all the product in? Do you think that the fact that Florida is taking steps to mitigate the supply chain, is that going to force LA and the West Coast to do the same simply because they're missing out on all this
Can you
business?
explain a little better? What do you mean Florida is? Are they getting like
They're making it easier to be able to unload the ships and get
Yeah,
from
things
where
moved.
though? From like Asian continents? Are they
From
going
wherever,
all the way around?
Yeah, a lot of them are
They're
coming all
walking
the
them
way
when they're in
around.
an airport, and the airport's like 10 times more efficient.
They're like going 24/7, and they just said, "We'll take everybody."
So do you think? I don't think that's going to change the West Coast. At least not initially. Because
You know what? I happen to agree with you on that.
I think California's policy to handle the issues they have, whether it be congestion or high prices, is to get people out. So if you're talking about
get them out, how? What do you mean by that?
Have them move out.
Have them move out of the
yeah, they're not
the state?
interested. They're not interested in creating better. Newsom's basically said this before. Spending a bunch of money on infrastructure, right, or dealing with housing prices, right. So you could say if people leave the state, that will reduce things like housing, which it will, right. In other words,
It reduces the pressure
I think their
on all
government
levels.
is looking at the problem is just too many people. So we're not trying to entice people to move here. in a way. I think that's kind of behind the scenes was how they've decided to handle their problems.
Apparently,
which is interesting because that's so anti-American.
Apparently, one aspect of California isn't following suit because you still see commercials about come visit California. So,
well, look, let's talk about Nevada because I think California and Nevada, a lot of people come from California to Nevada, so that might be one of the reasons why too. I don't know, maybe because you see that there's a lot of migration from California to here and other states. So I don't know. I mean, is it going to let's go back and talk about, is this going to be an impact on Las Vegas for the housing situation as far as the shortage of materials? We see across the country, we declined roughly 1.7%, right, on new homes and finishing. Finishing the work.
Anytime you have high demand and then you can't meet it with supply, which is what we're talking about because of the expenses, this is going to continue to cause it to go up and make it more unaffordable. The solution to handling natural high prices is to introduce more supply. When you're saying you're restricted from doing that, well, it's only going to go up.
Well, we talked about the cost. We talked about the labor. Let's talk a little bit about the demand. So the demand for new homes is still there, and it's going to continue.
Much so.
And people probably look at that now. Look, you go back a few years, it wasn't always we're going to start new because people felt like you can get a better deal, which you still can, in my opinion, go into an existing property. But if you're buying a new home, right, and if you're in this situation, the cost of a new home versus existing, you can still get more money or you save more money on an existing home, but the difference on the average price
is not that much
it's
different.
not much different anymore.
So, I mean, and here's the thing. If you're around the 550, 600, even 500 to 600 price point, if you can afford 500, most of the time you can afford 600. If you can afford 600, most of the time you can afford 650, 700. I'm just saying.
You're talking about the actual mortgage payment is going to be extremely different, right?
Well, yeah, but it's not going to be living out of their means.
Right.
They're still making a certain amount of money, right, to even be in that category.
Yeah, so
so if there's that difference that's shrinking every day or every year between new home price and resale price really doesn't matter right now out of a lot of times because you can get what you want with the new home and you're not competing against all these other offers. Well, and if you are paying a little bit more, it doesn't really matter.
So you're saying, Brett, that the price of a new home versus...
Price of a new home is always more than resale.
But you're saying it's coming more even.
Yeah.
Yeah, the separation is a lot less.
It's coming a lot closer.
Right, but here's my question, though. I mean, if that's true, then what's the motivation for home builders to really go out and build a bunch more communities? If the cost to build it is marginal to what they're selling it for, right? And you're saying the price
because
is
the new home builders aren't in the business of selling resales. They don't make any money off resales.
Yeah, but how do you make money if you can't sell something for more than what you put into it? You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's just basic business.
What do you mean? If you can't sell?
If you're saying that demand for resale and demand for new construction price points are about the same, then the person who's constructors who are building these houses, right, are going to be nervous about investing in a whole bunch of extra homes if they don't think they can sell it for higher than the resale market. They don't make money.
Not necessarily.
That's just the point I was trying to make. I don't know. It's true. No.
It's just an indication of how high the market has gone on resales. That builders can still make a good buck on the new homes. That's all.
Well, listen. People are
builders are going to make money right now just by putting homes on the market.
Yeah, but people are paying a premium, right? So what do you see out there? And we do videos, we do stuff. And what do people always get attracted to? They get attracted to new because if you're buying a home and you're paying a premium, the average price of a home is $410,000. You go out and buy a new home at $450,000, $470,000.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, it's not that much of a difference.
You're getting up to date. You're getting some. But now the problem is that you have a lot of people that want to do the same thing, especially here in Las Vegas. You're going from another state and coming here and buying probably new or trying to or considering it. Now, when you're making that offer, now you're in a lottery or now you're on a waiting list. And a lot of times we don't even know when you're going to be there. There could be 50 people before you.
So if the price of new homes is relatively within the price of resales, everybody wants new.
Right.
They buy resale because they have to.
I understand that premium, right?
Because there's no new homes left. That's why they buy resale.
And maybe I'm not explaining it.
That's okay.
It's just an issue I'm trying to see if it's there. For instance, my in-laws' house was up Northern California, burnt in 2017.
Yeah,
okay. Whatever. They were really lucky because 5 months before, for some reason, they upped their insurance, like to the best. And so the insurance took care of everything, right? But the cost to build that home was significantly higher than what they could sell it for, even after the day after completing, just because of the cost of materials to put it all together was higher than what the market value of the home
Well,
was.
I mean, they're doing cost analysis with an insurance company, and I'm not sure what their algorithm is. For,
the insurance company, because they were guaranteed their house back.
Yeah, of course, yeah, but I'm not
But I'm
sure.
just saying, if you were doing a new build, you wouldn't do that because it'd be like, this is costing me more than what it's worth. You get what I'm saying? Like, as far as
Well, listen, look at single family permits. We talk about this with builders increased 2.7%. Also 2 to 4 unit properties, right? Multi-unit properties were lifted 8.2%. Those are really popular right now. Getting multi-unit properties across the country.
They went up 8%?
Yeah, 8%. And so it tells me that
who's buying them up? These
that I don't know.
Blackstone?
Investors.
That I don't know. Well, listen. So
Wow.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
how many
Yeah.
people come here and say, okay, well, how many builders are actually building
They're more into
multi-unit?
single family.
Yeah, they're not building
Hedge
any
funds.
multi-unit buildings here or multiplex.
No, not that
nothing, right?
No, nothing. I
Right.
mean,
why is that? Why do you think they're not building if it's this big of a
they
number?
just, I mean, since the late 90s, mid 90s, most and everything's had an HOA. And it's just a lot of communities with HOAs aren't.
We got a couple.
Won't do.
well, here's my thought
because
on this.
they're
and
all
I'll go
older.
to you-
Like the duplexes and everything. They're all
well,
older.
here's my
man.
thought on this. So we're building a bunch of apartment buildings, right? And we have
Mm-hmm.
a lot of townhomes. Why would they not focus on more multi-unit properties?
sorry, what do you mean by
2 to
multi-unit?
4 unit buildings or properties? They're
I'm
building
assuming
Yeah. No,
because
not
of
townhomes.
what I'm assuming because what you got to pay for land now and the cost to build, it's just more efficient to do like a 10 unit
Well, look at the
or a
demand.
single.
Multi-units
I
increased
understand,
8.2%. Increased
But what you're getting
6.5%
for
on a
your
monthly basis.
what you're getting for your revenue, I'm assuming probably isn't for what they got to pay for the land for that. And
Rick, what do you think? I mean,
'Cause
do you
it
think,
hasn't
why
been-
do you think that there's not new home builders building more of these multi-unit
I
properties?
studied to get a definition. What do you mean by multi-unit?
Well,
So
he's talking duplexes, triplexes,
Right,
and
fourplex.
fourplexes.
more than one unit,
Right.
More than one unit.
Yeah, so kind of like
Man,
a townhouse. I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
Well, they're not like a townhouse
No,
at all.
see, a townhouse is classified as a single family residence. This is considered more than one unit. That's why. I mean, you can technically live in that property
And you own the
rent,
and you own the
it.
dirt.
So
you own the
it's-
dirt below it too.
Yeah, and then you can rent out the other 3 if it's 4.
Okay, I know what you're saying.
Yeah, so it's almost like you're a tenant and a landlord. Similar, right? Because you might have a mortgage and you're working, or you can just rent out all 4 units.
In Wisconsin, they used to do that all the time when I sold real estate there, which is people would buy a duplex and they would live in one half and rent out the
Right.
other, and they would basically pay their mortgage.
So what is the desirability of not wanting to do that here, I guess is the question. Maybe because we don't have enough land. I mean, because look, we haven't.
I mean, that would be
maybe-
a developer question because I haven't seen it since the 80s.
Maybe it has nothing to do with desirability. Maybe it has to do with city planning.
Yeah,
Well, I think there's a
something's up. I mean,
city planning, but I think there's also kind of an answer to that. Like when people develop a community, right? Somebody owned all those acres, right?
Yeah.
And so they're creating community to make money, and whoever's advising them is saying the HOA is the way to do it here. So that's the reason
that's what I'm
why
saying
they're
is
doing it.
everything since the mid 90s has been an HOA, and they just don't want that to in
But
their plan.
there may be a demand for that, and that's how you make money when you see something like Dan's pointing out, right?
Yeah.
Well, so let's talk about what do you think is going to happen with these builders. So are the builders really going to get caught up? I think that's the question. I mean, when do you think they'll get caught up? Obviously, we know construction workers are an issue. We talk about it a lot, but we're trying to keep a running tally here on what's happening with builders and where their position will be in the, say, next 3 months. Because right now, it's telling us that they're getting caught up, but yet there's still some issues, and some of the issues have been fixed, I guess you can say. The demand is still there, but they're not going to overbuild. So what I'm saying, you look at all the things that they're doing, they're not going to be able to put in a place like where they can say, okay, we have all the things to meet consumer needs. So what do? They just probably slow down production, I would assume, right? You would say, we're going to strategically slow it down.
Yeah.
And we're going to strategically just put you on a list. And guess what? It's not going to ever put us in a position.
Which is why we've been bottlenecked this entire year, because they slowed down in 2020 significantly. Right. And then demand went up. I mean, and then you have trying to catch up situation.
Well,
which affects every market, material market, construction market, everything.
We've been chasing that for a year and a half now. Chasing the builders have. Builders have been chasing to try to catch up with the demand of what people are out there looking for on homes, and like I said, it's slowly getting better. Do you think in the next 3 months that we're actually going to come out of this where we're not going to have waiting lists anymore? We're not going to have a lottery, or
I don't think it's going to be in the next 3 months.
No,
Okay.
no way.
But I think if you look at what happened here, you had the pandemic, which caused a lot of stimulus in the economy, and then that's in turn we're at the later end of this, which caused a shortage in labor, not just construction everywhere, right? But for instance, in January, if you have student loans and you were making payments, you didn't have to make a payment for 2 years. That's coming off the table because they have no choice because they get inflation down. As the stimulus starts to stop, right, and people aren't getting the checks anymore, well, then they're going to want more money, and they're going to go back to the labor market, and the labor market will become better. But I don't think it's going.
Was that cut off already though, where people aren't getting that check anymore?
But we're still at the we're not too far out from those events. Is my point. People are still probably sitting on some money that they got from all that in my estimation, which creates the ability to make leverage to demand more for jobs you do, and then as that changes and people are willing to work more because they don't have it, you're going to see the labor market get better.
Yeah. I mean, that was kind of what we talked about last week a little bit. It'll be interesting to see what the result is.
Well,
because the labor market hasn't come back. Are they going to? If so, where are they making their money? How much are they making now? Is the cost of living gone up because of that?
I don't know if it's necessarily just that. I think it's like, look, so you have to have a combination of things. Like you have to have the materials in place, and then you also have to have the construction workers to be able to obviously do the work that's needed. But I think
at the price that you can't. I mean, you could get any construction worker, but you're not going to spend more than what, like I said, the project's worth. So the problem is the cost of labor.
Stay within budget of it.
Yeah, the cost of labor needs to come down to make it work. And right now, it's not there yet.
They're slow. The builders know this. Okay, so look, they know that they're strategically, in my opinion, they're fine with where things are at because they're still getting the premium on the house because they're getting the top dollar. They're getting paid what they need. They're not really losing money on any deal that they have because the demand is still there. And you got people willing to go there and buy, and they're willing to buy at list.
Builders are a lot happier now,
correct,
with their position than they were this past summer because it was nuts for them too, and it was constant.
It's
overwhelming everything. And now it's more at a pace. They're still getting what they want, but they're able to have more control over it.
Yeah, and what Dan's asking, when is construction going to catch up? I mean, builders are happy now because demand's so high. But my point is, when the costs. When do you have to quit extending things 3 or 4 months to finish the home? Yeah, which comes down to cost of labor, cost of materials, all that stuff.
Well, I would feel that if I was a person out there, and maybe you can help me with this, Rick, is that if I'm sitting there and I'm going to have to wait 6 or 7 months, and then from experience, we know that these builders are going to go ahead and say might need an extra month, maybe 2 in some cases, a lot of times. Mm-hmm. I don't know. For me, I don't know if that would push me as a consumer to go new home because I know. Look, I'm going to pay top dollar.
I wouldn't.
That's just my opinion. Now, there is positions, though, and we've talked about this before, where you buy a new home and you can actually get appreciation in the house as it's being built. We've seen that happen.
Yeah, so it depends on what your situation is. If you have a little bit of time, it's like, especially this past summer, if you got in a contract to build your house in like January or February, and it's being completed right now, your home is, if it was a $500,000 house, that house is probably $625,000 now.
Yeah, but it's stressful.
You made $100,000. How's it stressful on your end?
Well, I'm going to tell you because if you're buying a house and then
so I get a great agent named Brett Jenny. He'll walk you through the process.
Who's Brett Jenny?
The realtor formerly known as Brett Jenny.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I read an article yesterday that
gotta break up that boringness right there.
I read an article yesterday that 40% of home buyers get physically ill over the purchase of their home.
Oh, I bet, man.
40%.
Dude, I know. I get those calls all the time.
This is what I'm talking about, though.
No, just the fact of going through the whole process. Mm-hmm. So whether it be new home or existing. But
it's the process, period.
Yeah, it's the process. And
so add an extra 2 months on that process is what I'm saying. I mean, look, you know what? If you're coming from another state, though, Brett, you can't sit there and say everybody doesn't have that issue. If I'm coming from another state and I got to wait 2 or 3 more months, I got to strategically plan to move. How many clients do we have that do that?
A lot.
Right.
A lot. But I guess my perspective from a buyer is what kind of drives buyers crazy or that they're not happy about in the buying process a lot of times is they don't know the seller. They have no conversations with the seller. You have no influence contact over the seller and their position. But in this sense, the buyer's working directly with the seller, the builder. So there's a lot of issues that can be resolved or nerves that can be calmed by doing that. Because
what are your thoughts on it,
you're
Rick?
working directly with the seller.
I agree.
He concurs.
I concur. I think that everything we've said here is correct, but what I think is going to happen is that the construction industry is going to flatline, mellow out, go to a more reasonable pace over this next year. It's going to take about a year for everything to, and the demand is still going to be there. Again, we've discussed this a billion times that influence from out of state coming into state as prices continue to rise is still going to fuel the new construction market.
And I like to make a point that you made in the first about the comment where you said everything that was said in here is correct. And that's right, listeners. Dan French, podcast Workbench. We are not wrong about anything, so tune on in. Anyhow.
Even the celebrities listen to us. Right?
All the crypto celebrities, right, Brett? You tune them in?
That's right. A-list, B-list, we take them all.
Hey, that's not Brett.
You're in the French workbench.
Long-time listener, first-time caller.
Hey, you're in the French workbench jungle, baby.
That's right.
Is that what you're going to say?
You're going to listen.
So anyways, let's go back to this. All right, so let's talk about it real quick. This is a good sign, though, because you look at builders and they may not pass all those costs. You would think that they wouldn't to the consumers since we've seen our starting to see some declines in these materials. So just to kind of sum it all up, I feel it's a good opportunity for people because builders are going to still be able to provide homes, but I also think that the cost may come down. Also, we have prices of homes coming down here in Las Vegas. Not across the board, but there's a lot of pockets, a lot of places coming down. Do you agree with that, Brett? I mean, do you think that the prices of these homes coming down are going to be in contribution to the builder, right?
Yeah, it's all relative. But resale, there's not any resale either. So they're all going to stay in relation with each other. I think it's just going to be a little more on your terms, but I don't see prices going anywhere with resale or with home new.
The only way that prices in new construction are going to drop dramatically is if there is no demand. It's that simple. I've got my son-in-law. He owns a lumber company. And one of the big problems that they've had for the last year and a half.
Your son owns a lumber company, and it's the first time you're telling me about this?
Yeah.
We've been talking lumber for about 2 weeks, and now he's telling me, hey, by the way, my son's a lumber owner.
Rick's a secret weapon over here. You don't know what he knows, dude.
Wait a second. We could have got the scoop, and I'm sitting over here doing a bunch of research, and all he had to do was say, hey, man, I got the
He'll take you down and quote your lumber prices.
So go ahead and tell us.
Dual threat.
But one of the problems that the lumber industry has is, at least he's in a very specific market. Let me say that. He's in very high-end lumber.
Like what, redwood?
No, he's like
Fresh
in
pine?
Burl. No, not pine, but Burl, walnut slabs,
walnut
things of that
I
nature.
heard the lumber business is a very hard business.
It is hard. but again, if you can't sell it, what you've got is worthless, and it's actually costing you money sitting there. So it's the same thing with new home builders. They got to lower the price to move it. There's an opportunity cost or of it sitting on their books.
Yeah.
But as long as there's demand, it's
Rick's 100% correct. The construction thing will work itself out over enough time, and home prices aren't going anywhere because the demand's there.
Yep.
Next story.
So you think, right?
Next conversation. So
I want to ask you this
what are you
last
doing
question. Want to ask this last question though. Okay, so if you were gonna tell me why, in each one of you can tell me this, why would you buy new versus existing? And I'm just saying, give me your reasons. What outweighs buying new?
personally,
for you?
me,
Yeah.
I like new contemporary styles, and I like that it comes with warranties.
What
And
about
I
vintage?
like
though?
that they're new communities.
You like vintage homes too. So why? Let's compare a
dude,
vintage
don't get me
home.
wrong. Vintage is what it is. It's a different experience.
Well,
As in, you don't want to go running around. Neighborhood.
Well, look, we've been into vintage homes recently, right? We do a lot of video tours and stuff.
Yeah.
And look at the new homes, okay? And the new homes have a lot to offer. You got the new Next Gen by Lennar. You got a lot of things that's out there. But when you go to these vintage style homes, right, the land is there.
It's a different experience.
The land is there. The layout and the bones of the home or the house that you can look at and say, can I recreate things in my own way? And does it have the necessities? The new homes I feel they're cookie cutter, where it's like the older style homes, and this is just me, like the vintage style homes. So you're paying almost the same cost.
Well, you're talking about
for that style home versus a new home, though.
Yeah, well,
And
you're talking about what your preference is with the house, right?
Yeah,
Which is
exactly.
different for everybody. But something that I think of when with new homes, right? Because you got a lot of credible construction companies out here, and then you got new ones and stuff. And if you buy a new home, in my head though, it's like, was there an issue with this construction potentially, this company, that I don't know about because the home hasn't been vented versus a 6-year-old house, which may have, it's credible and things aren't breaking or whatnot. You get what I'm saying? Is that a concern?
No, because new home comes with warranties and all those things that may break.
Yeah, but then you got to do insurance claims, and they might deny it. And they might be
no, well, your first year's bumper to bumper, which means, they're still building the community. So they're going to have on-site construction guys every day. You just need to call the office and lamp an appointment, and they take care of. Builders in general don't want to have problems after they've sold the home.
Oh, no one does. No one does.
So
but it's still a pain in the,
Well,
yeah, but
look,
I think honestly, it's, can you get the right home for the right price in the right neighborhood that you want? If you're satisfied with all those checks.
So here's the question, and let's go back to it. Would you pay the premium prices for new homes because the labor is not there for them, and also the cost of materials is higher?
I'll pay what I want if I want something.
Okay,
It depends if
Rick?
I think it's worth the price or not.
Well, I agree. No,
everything we say is true.
yeah, everything you guys
Can't deny that.
No, my point is this. At least, again, we're on a personal basis. For me personally, I wouldn't buy a new home unless it was custom and I was able to get the size lot that I want with it. Other than that, I would go with the older home simply because you get the land.
Correct.
And older homes, just like older cars and older everything, is normally built better.
That's my point.
You agree with that 100%.
Yeah, because you look at they're trying to build things.
Which decade though?
But
it doesn't matter.
So they're built better, but I'm not worried about my new home falling apart either.
Right.
So
yeah, but is the materials
I'm going to be there
cheaper,
5 or 6 years.
I don't know.
It's whatever experience you want. Rick's very valid with what he's saying, and to be honest with you, I agree with all of that. It's
go ahead.
Different experience.
So from my personal standpoint, I'd be the guy trying to call Cody. So I would want something on a larger lot, and assuming that I can afford it, that's the route that I would go. And but for most people, they're going to be ecstatic in getting a brand new cookie cutter home.
That smells
good.
good.
Yeah, that smells good. So on and so forth. But I got to have a lot. I can't have a postage stamp lot.
Are you an RV guy or you're not an RV guy?
I would love to be an RV guy, but I have never been.
Yeah, it seemed like that's a big topic for people that when they move, like when they're looking at houses, they want RV parking. It seems like everybody I talk to is like, does it have RV parking? Because you never know. We might want to,
Right.
You know where it'd be ideal for me?
Expensive RVs are?
And Blue Diamond. That little town Blue Diamond. Have you seen some of those homes in there?
The little town. Where is that at?
What do you mean, Blue Diamond Road?
Blue Diamond. If you go out, like you're going to Red Rock, out on Charleston, it turns into Blue Diamond.
Yeah.
And you can take that all the way down to literally Blue Diamond Road.
Oh, is that where all the
so
like
that
the
little
donkeys
mining,
and stuff?
the little mining town off to the right? It's super small.
I know.
But if you look to the left, they have a few multi-million-dollar homes, and one of them was brand new. It was like $5 million. But this thing was like contemporary, no HOA. You're literally right on the edge there. And there's only going to ever be a certain amount of homes.
You're talking about the road right before you get to the entrance of Red Rocks, right?
Right after.
Right? Okay.
It's after. So if you're
all
out going
around.
Well,
so the town of Blue Diamond, but they have like a cool little breakfast diner in there. And there's a lot of, people that go trail running and biking and stuff like that will stop in there. But it's, you drive by the outside and it looks like there's all these, rotted out cars and stuff like that, and it kind of does. But you get in there and right on the edge,
I know what you're
it's
talking
like
about.
like $3 or $4 or $5 million homes.
Yeah, because
that would be like my dream, man.
Those rotted houses they've owned for like 100 years.
Yeah, but they cleared it down. They put up these multi-million-dollar.
Look at the end of all this, what it comes down to is, are you willing to pay the premium for a new home? Because that's what you're getting. You're getting, and then also sometimes you do get closing costs from the lender. I feel that they do make it up in other ways, but they got upgrades, they got things like that. The builder's making a ton of money still. I don't feel that the builder's suffering with all these material
Well, that's
losses.
all right. People make money.
Well, look,
You know?
and I'm just saying, though, is that people have to have an understanding of what they're getting into. So you're going in and buying a new home. Are you still looking at lotteries? Are you still looking at people putting on a wait list?
Nope.
Okay, I had just had somebody. Now, it depends.
Okay, I should say, yeah, it depends.
In Inspirata, you're on a waiting list.
Yeah.
Some of the KB and other places.
But they're not doing the
also,
lottos.
too, Lennar, huh?
They're not doing the lottos.
No, they're not. They're not doing lottos, but they're still on a waiting list. You know, there's some people that are like 50, 70, 80 people out from what I've seen. Now,
Well, I mean, here's the thing. That's not a big deal because there's always waiting lists, and there's always been waiting lists. It's a matter of if they're going to release those 2 or 3 months with that waiting list, are they doing it for $50,000 more now?
Yeah.
Are they doing it adding on a 40,000 lot premium that they didn't have before? Now, if they're not doing those things, that's the big difference because to have a waiting list and a lot of people on that waiting list that's normal for them.
Justify to me.
Most of those people won't turn
what
out.
you would do? Would you buy an existing home? I know you already bought your home, but if you look at
it would be like what Rick said. I would only be interested. I'm literally like, okay, this is the house I'm gonna be in the rest of my life, wherever it is. Like 3 acres. Honestly, we're not gonna get that here, right? But I get to design the blueprints and like put some effort into it. Other than that, absolutely not, because I don't like me personally. I hate drawn out things, right? So if you're talking about new home, they're probably gonna have you do a bunch of paperwork. Do you want to do this design? I don't like that, me personally. I just want to like, hey, give me a cool house. Here's the money. We're done. I don't even like doing the closing stuff, and it's just a pain. It feels like homework.
That's what it goes back to right here. You got Kim saying, I see what Dan's saying, trying to orchestrate a new build from out of state, moving. It gets to a point where I think I
have 3 of them right now from out of
stressful.
state.
Yeah, but it's a stressful
No,
process.
I get that.
And also too, like you said, there's other. It's not just, hey, I'm going to write an offer. You're constantly you're almost like married to that builder.
Like the entire time it's
for
getting
like the
built,
next 8 to 12 months, and you got to constantly be like another status.
But then there's a lot of people that kind of love the process of
yeah,
doing
so
it
that's
too.
what I'm saying. Some people do. Like my wife would probably like that a lot better.
Yeah.
Because she loves to design.
Yeah,
But when we
dude.
bought our house, I decided, hey,
I get both sides.
we should
believe
go
me.
look our house we should buy a house on a Friday. Made a decision on Friday.
Yeah.
By Sunday we put our offer down.
There you
and
go.
that was in and I like the real estate agent. Oh, we could do this weekend. I'm like, dude, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Just this is what I want. Like, let's move on.
When I bought,
Maybe your realtor appreciate that.
Oh, I know. We're best client.
so when I bought a new construction.
Yeah.
And we came from California, and we literally bought it in a matter. I'm not joking. 2 minutes. And we had driven all the way around town, started on the east side.
Was this 1963 about or
No, 1990, 1989.
just giving you a hard time?
Look at this asshole.
But anyway,
sorry.
but anyway,
And he's a lawyer. Imagine that.
we drove all the way around town, and we ended up in the lakes. And we literally walked into the room, and you know how they have these big tables, and they've got everything plotted out. And the lady went over and removed the thing that the little sticker that said it couldn't be sold. They went like that, and I said, "That one's available." I said, "Where is that?" Because it had a big lot.
Yeah.
And it was on a cul-de-sac, and she said, "Oh, it's right across the street."
Yeah.
And I said, "Okay, I'll take it."
Yeah.
There wasn't anything there to look at. All I could look at was one of the other models,
Yeah.
and it worked for us. And I said, okay, we went down and signed the paper. It was like a minute and a half.
Yeah. And that's your personal preference. Like some just love to stress about every little detail. So if that's what you like to do,
Well,
then
look,
I'm not
saying
like,
don't buy new. I'm just saying there's pros and cons, right? And I
Absolutely.
think
Yeah.
I think it comes down to what is your preference, but also are you okay with taking the time for like you? You're like, hey, I don't want to do it because you just don't want to deal with the stress. You just want to get in, get
Well,
out,
it just
get
feels
done.
like work to me, and it's like,
Right.
like that's how I take it, you know.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting because we're going to segue to the property management part of this, but I want to talk about one thing. The challenges that we're going to see from builders moving forward is the permits that they're getting versus the starts, right? And the home starts, the housing starts decline 3.9%. It's a constant battle because they have the demand and the permits are there, but they're constantly being extended out. So do they just say, hey, I'm gonna probably put a hold on some of this stuff? Like they have the demand of people. Where do you draw the line where it's like, okay, we can only take on so many because it could push to 6 months, right? 3 months.
That
4
is
months,
an
5 months.
interesting dynamic, which is what makes or breaks builders from continuing on in the future or not a lot of times. Or decisions like this and having the right people in place. Yeah, I mean it's an absolute business plan.
So
a lot of information to take in and process.
And their profit margins are, well, normal times are thin. right? You've got to calculate. That's why bidding is such a big deal. People think that the construction makes a ton of money. They miscalculate, they're underwater.
Yeah.
And that happens a
Well,
lot.
they lost a lot of money because they overbuilt back in 7 and 8.
And that's why they're
2008.
being
So that's why
careful.
they're being
Right.
very conservative. But what people don't understand is, look, if you want to go out and buy a new home, we'll just leave it at this. You're still going to be paying well over what you probably could get for something that is an existing home. Because in some cases, you're paying a lot premium. We talked about. There's a lot of upgrades and stuff.
Yeah.
So
Definitely true. I think that's true
I don't
with
know.
everything.
Yeah, with everything, absolutely.
Everything.
well,
that's
but I
new,
think in this situation, it's a little bit more than normal because they're not going to just pay those added costs for those materials, right? We talk about all the time. So I mean, if it's your preference, but they're going to be passing this to the consumer, which they have been doing. They're not going to lose money at this, and I think we talk about it all the time.
Unless they have no choice, they have to cut their damages.
Yeah. It's all relative, man.
Let's go
Supply
over
and
to
demand.
Rick. Rick, what's going on with property management, man? What do you got? Stories? What you got? Anything for us as far as updates on what's going on there?
Yeah, I've got lots of things, but one of the things I wanted to just touch on, because we had an appraiser on here.
No.
Yes, about 2 weeks ago.
Wow.
And the Federal Housing Finance Agency just announced that for the appraisal end of housing, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, they're basically going to desktop appraisals. So what has happened over the course of the pandemic is now going to become the norm, where the appraisers aren't going to go out to the homes. They're just going to do everything virtually, and end of story. And that's something that's going to be implemented as the standard in starting in 2020.
So basically what I do as a realtor, when someone says I want to list my house, and before I go out there and sign anything, I want to know the value of it.
Right.
I sit at home and I go over the comp side. I'm not actually at the home.
Right.
That's what the appraisers are going to base their values off
They're
of.
not actually going to go out and
Which
look at the houses
has always
anymore.
made sense to me.
Well,
To do it
It's
that
always
way.
made-
Well,
It's made sense to you for the appraisers not to go to the home?
I don't. I guess
So-
appraisers,
so
I guess,
here's-
in today's modern world, should just be looking at like structural issues, right, or something
Well,
you can't
I mean,
see
there's-
from the data, right?
No, there's a lot of things. I mean, someone could have a $100,000 backyard and the other person's got sand.
Correct.
That's just one example.
One issue.
Yeah, that's
right
just
there.
one.
Right. Well, okay, that's an example that I'm talking about, right? So you're saying Freddie Mae loan, they're not requiring appraisals.
No, I'm
No,
not
they're
saying that.
requiring it. They're saying they're not going to the home.
Right,
They're
sorry,
just
I
gonna
misspoke.
They're
I
just going to do
misspoke.
comps like a realtor
They're just
does.
going to do it virtually from their desktop.
And what was the reason for it?
just
COVID?
the fact
Cost?
that, COVID and the fact that apparently, as far as they're concerned, it's been working well that way.
It's working well, and they can get more home things done.
They
by
can do it
actually going
faster.
there.
And
well, listen, when somebody goes and does a refinance, I've heard stories, man, and I got a lot of refinances that, but it's like they literally, like, they'll call me and go, "Hey, Dan, your
Yeah.
appraiser just came," and I'm like, "They came, okay, what happened? What's wrong? Why are you calling me? They're here for 2 minutes. They ran through the house, looked at
Yeah.
things, made sure everything was
Yeah.
good,
Well, now that you
and they're
bring
out
it
the
up,
door, you know."
I refied.
Well, refi is a little different with how they're going about things.
Brett
too.
brought
Well, but
up
it's still-
the
it's still-
perfect example.
Yeah.
I mean, perfect example is that I got an $80,000 backyard. Okay, compared to the guy next door who's got a fucking pine tree.
No, throw f bombs.
I
Go ahead.
love it.
No.
Hey, that's right. I love
sorry.
it.
Rick fucking Reigns.
No,
Sorry.
Sorry,
He's
audience.
got 2 pine trees.
It's coming out raw here on the French workbench.
effing pine trees.
He's got two pine trees and a bunch of rock, and that's it.
Yeah.
So if you sit on your desktop, you're not going to know this. So
Yeah.
anyway,
Yeah, but the point of the appraisal from the mortgage perspective is just trying to ensure that the asset could cover the principal if they foreclose, in theory,
Well-
right? But there's a difference between.
Well,
I want to get my own
anyway.
appraisal
Dude,
and buying,
a
right?
$15,000-$20,000 difference can be huge on a $550,000 property.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that's the point of what they're doing as far as.
anyway, I was just
Sorry.
bringing this up.
Man,
Anyways, I was just making a comment.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go back.
Christ.
Let's go back. So look at the point of all this is they're doing desktop appraisals, right?
That's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the desktop appraisals will be here to stay. And regardless if you like it or not, it's going to be something that they're going to see in the
Yep.
future.
And it's going to impact the industry.
Yes.
Correct.
So
That's it.
basically, Zillow.
Don't go there.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's opening doors.
Regarding property management,
Right.
we continue to see slight increase in available housing, availability. Things are still going well. Dan wanted a story. Okay, I've got a story regarding why you need a property manager. Just this last week, actually it's been 2 weeks now. One of our owners got a letter from the city for basically a $10,000 fine, and what had happened was there was a shooting. A shooting on the street. Bullet went through his property. Tenants were not in the property. Police busted in and found growing marijuana grow products, fertilizers, things of that nature. Confiscated all of them. Sends our owner a $10,000 bill. And
did he have a marijuana license though? Don't you?
He worked for he worked for a legitimate grower, and why he was storing their product for them, don't know. Maybe he was transferring it between stations or whatever.
He probably didn't count on the cops busting through his house because a bullet went through his wall and wasn't correct. I mean, I'm just gonna assume.
But the point.
What are the odds?
The point
son of a bitch.
The point to this story is that if you're an out-of-state owner, having to deal with this is a nightmare, and you need somebody here to be able to
hold on a second.
Handle it.
This guy, was he renting the property?
Yes.
Yeah.
So his tenants were there.
Yes.
The tenants were there. They were physically out of the property at the time of the shooting.
A random bullet went through.
Random bullet went through like a window.
And the cops just went in there.
Because they were looking for somebody that may have gotten shot, gotten hit.
And should have called me. I would have done.
They could. They didn't know it was being done to their
I would have
apartment.
filed a claim with the court to say dismiss or you got to get rid of this fine because you had no business being in somebody's private property.
I didn't know they could do that.
Well, but they probably went to the door and they said, "Hey, can I come in the house?" And they're like, "Yeah, let's do it."
Did that happen?
No, there's nobody there.
Yeah, no, that's what he said.
Nobody was there.
Nobody was there.
Game over. I would have.
So they just busted the door
I didn't
down
know
and
they
said,
could even do that.
They apparently went in looking for dead bodies.
Yeah. So to have you're talking about to have a property manager, how would that help them?
Well, we've already gone down and we've interacted with the police. We've been able to get reports. We're making inroads into contacting the people that are doing the fining to say, hey, you can't do this, blah blah blah. So if you hire an attorney to do that, at least to get it started, we may be able and probably will be able to resolve it. But if you have an attorney doing it, it's going to cost quite a bit, isn't it?
True.
Joe's already. Yeah,
Joe, consultation fee's $500.
But
yeah, that's true. It's gonna.
But
Joe's like, you need to do this, but
I'm just saying, like in that situation, like they fined him because they had marijuana stuff in there, right?
They had grow product that could be used for any type of plant.
So what was the fine about?
The fact that they had grow product, but apparently
they charge.
How can they prove that it's going to be part of them growing marijuana?
They can't either.
They can't. That's just.
But you still got to go through the whole hassle.
You have to go through the hassle, and you need somebody here to do it.
So a cop can arrest you for anything, whether it's legal or not.
Did they charge?
Pardon?
They charged.
No, they didn't charge anybody. All they did was send the owner a fine.
So that's the thing is to unravel all the bureaucrat that's going on right now with that. I mean, it renders.
I think you could handle that less than $10,000 with an attorney fee.
Yeah, but still,
okay.
You got to hire an attorney. You got to go through all this.
But here's my point.
It just ticks me off when I see like.
Here's my point. My point is with the property manager, it may not cost you basically anything, or a few $100s. Now, that's my contribution right now on it, and.
Well, lots of more things too. You live out of state, man, and something breaks in the middle of the night or the plumbing or whatever it is. Dude, Rick deals with that, not you. You collect your check every month and shut your mouth.
There's no way I didn't even think about having like a property that I don't live close to without a property manager.
Yeah, why would you not?
I think even if I had investment property in town, I'd do the same thing.
You're a cheap SOB.
It's a lot of work, right, Rick? I mean, it's a lot of work, like dealing with all that stuff.
And what's interesting about it is it's not that property managers thrive on this. Nobody likes the stress of it, but from a property management standpoint, from at least for me, it's interesting as to the things that we come up against and then how we figure out how to get around them or how to fix them for people. And I've been doing it, like I've said, since '78. I just hired a new girl, and I told her, you never stop learning in this business because it's always something different.
King of improv, right?
Yeah.
With your business, basically.
Anything else, Rick?
No, I think I'm interested in hearing about cryptocurrency, and let's go, Brandon.
Brett, Jenny,
Let's go,
Come on
Brandon.
down. Let's go, baby. What's going
like
on?
that.
What's going on in real estate, man? Let's talk
Not
a little
much.
bit about what's happening with the real estate
Real
world.
estate. Yeah.
All right,
What do you need to
because
know?
well, I want to know what
Probably
people
were.
are going through right now. Are you still getting? Are people able to really put in an offer on most of these homes now? Where they?
Man, I mean, I'll tell you where it's really hard right now, and just as strong as it was before, which is if you're basically below 500 or below, and you want a pool, dude.
No.
Like I have
It's
a buyer.
still hot.
I have a buyer right now that's approved for 385. Specifically wants a pool. We're writing on homes that were built in 61, 65. Needless to say, there's a lot of like things and updating that need to be done. Every offer we've wrote for the past 3 weeks, we've been beat out by multiple offers
Yeah.
and all cash.
And that's sad because 2 years ago, that
And
would,
dude,
that would
these
have definitely bought you a
these
pool.
are. I mean, it's.
Yeah, so
I mean,
but
we're
listen,
talking about homes
here's-
that need work.
Here's
We're
the
talking about
question I have
homes.
on this, and I want to bring something up. If you buy a home, okay, so look, you have a refurbished, or let's say you just did the construction, you redid the home, remodeled it, did everything up to spec as far as everything that's current. If it's a 1945 home versus a 1980 home versus a today home, right? Let's say,
Yep.
is it really going to make a difference on the value of the home? Because I mean, obviously the age of the home is there, but if somebody is willing to put the money in to rehabilitate that home, isn't it the same? Like it doesn't matter if it's older than, right? Even if it has a
No,
pool
it
and it's
does.
older?
It does.
The neighborhood, number one.
Okay.
Number two, some of the older ones have foundation issues that
Okay.
you don't have after a certain year.
Yeah, but it does, look, if I'm in Henderson,
I mean,
right?
those are just a couple
Henderson's
ones.
got a lot of older homes, one story. People desire that. Okay, why would I not go pay a property for 385, 400 with a pool, even if it's a 1945 home? But if everything's been updated, like everything's been good,
Well, then that's
you're not-
different.
yeah, you're not
Yeah.
buying. So
Well, I'm
why
telling
did-
you,
does
is even the ones that are beat up are going cash.
does the age make
Let
a
alone-
difference though? That big of a difference?
I mean, people usually want a price point and an area, and then everything caters within that. Pool, no pool, whatever it is.
So he's asking, you're not talking about age. They don't really.
I'm
It's not like a factor.
It's not
No,
a factor, right?
A lot of times, the area that somebody wants to live will determine the age.
Correct.
And that's more important to them is the area and the
is the
price
area.
point. The age will. The age is just a byproduct.
So,
of
so if
what
I were to
comes
go
with it.
buy an area, let's say it's an area that's
old, like
older, but
across from 15 on
yeah,
downtown,
right? Like
Old
something,
Vegas.
yeah, right. And it say it's
Which is an awesome
300,000 with a
neighborhood.
pool. Mm-hmm. Okay, somebody's willing to do it. I mean, you're not. What do you tell them? I mean, at that point, because I know you're saying, well, if they have a pool and it's 385, and you're saying you can't find something, but if you find something in a less desired location, is that something that?
I get people what they want, and so if they want the house,
Less desired is perspective.
yeah,
Right.
it's their money, not mine. I'm here to make what they want happen.
This is what you can buy with your money.
So you want to know the numbers and the goods and bads. Here's the pros. Here's the cons. Here's the numbers. Here's what we need to look out for.
Yeah.
You
So-
make a decision.
look
You're
at-
the one going to live here.
If I
It's your
have
money.
if I have a pool and a house, let's say you're going to compare two of them. You got a pool that's say 1945, like we were saying, with a pool.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's been updated. Then you look in the same area of Henderson, let's say, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now let's say you're looking at a 2005 home,
Mm-hmm.
all upgrades, everything, but yet that 2005 is selling a little bit higher. Would you focus on, hey, you know what? There's not really a huge difference. Obviously, there's a year difference, but if everything's been updated, it has a pool and it has the same.
I would definitely buy the new one.
yeah, everyone's
Because
going to
here-
choose the 2005 one, dude. It's like-
And for me, it has to everything to do
do
with
you know how humans work?
structural, right? Because I would say generally the older the house are, the more you might run into an issue where a foundation cracking
Yeah,
or something like
that's
which
exactly what
is
I'm
a
saying.
major repair.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
would
but
stay
you know
away
what?
from
If
that.
you got somebody that's a contractor that goes in and they rehabilitate
They
these
can't
homes,
Nobody
They
wants to
can't
mess
see
with a
it.
damn foundation.
Yeah,
Get
they-
the fuck
they
outta
can't
here,
even
dude.
see it. Usually-
Was the rest of the house made of gold?
I've dealt with this issue a lot. It's because let's say you got a flood or whatever, and there's a crack that you just didn't see from the inspection. That happens all the time.
but listen, you buy a new home, and if you don't get a home
Yeah.
inspector, I mean, you could have foundational issues too.
Yeah.
And you have a
That's-
10-year
that's-
warranty on
that's-
that.
That's why I said earlier.
You have a
I
10-year
kinda like
warranty.
the
There's no
Structural.
guarantee though. They'll still have to come in and fix it. That's inconveniencing your life. Do you want that happen to you?
They're going to come in and fix it for free.
Yeah.
More
with the-
importantly,
with
if you're
the
talking
new
about
one.
something structural, I know what you're trying to do, you little SOB.
He's just screwed.
What's going on over here, Brett?
Throwing unrealistic scenarios at me.
So everybody wants to know what Brett's going to say, and I'm going to say this: don't buy crypto. No, I'm just playing.
I'm not going down that road, dude. I'm not even going down that road. Crypto is a wonderful thing. Others have different opinions. Enjoy your day.
Let's talk about crypto, man. What's going on with the crypto world? You bought some EFTs?
NFTs.
Oh, NFTs.
Equity traded funds. No, yeah, man, I bought a couple of them. So, they're JPEGs.
Worth a lot.
You know
Hold
what,
on
man?
to those JPEGs.
I posted the first one that I bought.
Hey, are you going to upgrade that to a PNG?
That's right. That's right.
Oh, that's great, man.
So I forgot what I was saying. So I posted the first one that I bought on Facebook and said, "Hey, everybody, I just paid $450 for this JPEG. What are your thoughts on that?" And I just wanted to see what people thought. And a lot of people are like, I know that everyone's kind of doing it. That's where the future's going, but I don't really understand it.
Yeah.
And so I broke it down into kind of different terms. The easiest thing is to say that it's a status symbol or that you're betting on it being a status symbol. Like you get that blue check on Twitter, right? A blue check on Twitter next to your name says that you're a verified, notable account. Whereas you're worthy of someone trying to replicate your account and scam people. Right?
Oh.
No one's going to replicate. Someone's going to try to replicate Elon Musk's account and say that they're him to try to get money or business, whatever it is. Someone can replicate Brett Jenny's. No one cares. Right?
Well, here's my thing is this.
Hold on. So here's what I'm saying is the blue check on Twitter, whenever you go to that and you see someone's name and you see a blue check next to it, that's a status symbol. You know they're a notable. You know they're worthy. You know they've done some successful things in the past or they wouldn't have that check mark. So that blue check, the second you see just something next to that is an automatic status symbol.
Well, look,
in a sense.
you're saying
so
the
look at
security
this
part of it,
as
right?
Like that.
You're saying the security part of it is where that comes in. Why wouldn't anybody just create their own firewall, like an individual firewall?
What do you mean?
Like it'd be like
Your own firewall
Dan
for
French,
what?
just to protect your accounts. Like you're getting an NFT, right? And you're saying that a lot of the stuff, like with the wallet and the NFT and all these things, that it's secure and it's just to you. And
Because it's on blockchains, on
Right.
Ethereum blockchain.
Right. So I'm saying, what if they just created like a firewall for each individual person out there that said, okay, this is your firewall and it's pretty much bulletproof, right? And it's going to protect you. Could that even happen?
I don't even know what the hell you're talking about. I'll put your firewall with this. So I don't know.
Let me.
That's what the wallet is all about.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
let me
but
try to,
look at if you have a
I
firewall.
don't use the word
the
firewall's
whole thing
not
you're-
used in.
I know, but listen.
So I don't know.
But you got a firewall for companies, right? You have an internet.
What are you talking about, firewall?
Because I'm saying security, right? You're saying these things are secure.
Yes.
So if you had its own security of saying like a firewall or something created just for you, where you had a programmer go out, is there any difference between that and the blockchain?
You're not asking logical.
Let me clarify.
He's trying to mix apples and oranges.
I know.
He's
Like
pulling
you got to
he's
talk
pulling
about
your
shit
chain.
that actually exists in the crypto world.
I just stumped him.
Like,
so
you're
much.
like-
He's like this, like.
So if you're gonna take Bitcoin and it had pink elephants, would you get yellow soup? Yes.
Let me try to be focused. And
I agree.
I concur.
I've got a very limited knowledge on the EFT. Hey guys,
Trying to seem smart, you're dumb, man. You're dumb.
Business.
We lost Dad. We lost him. He's
Sorry, go ahead,
gone.
Joe. I'm sorry, man.
Are we still on NFTs or EFTs?
Yeah, man. It doesn't matter. Hit me up in private. I'll have real conversations with people about it.
So I know very limited information on the EFT thing, but I do know you guys remember
NFT.
NFT. Yeah.
God damn it!
You guys know.
Damn it, Bobby! I can't take you anywhere, Joe.
What's that stand for, by the way?
Non-fungible token.
Okay,
It just means it's
non-fungible
one of a
tokens.
kind.
Yeah. So you guys remember Preston, right? On the show here,
Who's Preston? Go ahead.
the little guy.
Dude, I talk to him every week.
Oh, you talked to Preston
Every week.
Does he watch the show?
I don't know. I know that Preston and I are forming in a crypto NFT
You
podcast.
should have me on.
Yeah.
We will.
Yeah.
Dude, you can
Yeah.
say the pros and cons, right? And you can come in and tell you
All
about
pros.
the cons.
All pros.
Well,
But
okay,
what were you saying,
Preston
Preston?
was the one that really started talking about NFTs, and then he's got this picture of a monkey with a banana. He's like, it's $100,000.
Mutant ape.
I don't know, whatever. But here's the point. he was like, the big thing about it was his idea was you could replace title with ownership to something.
Yes.
Right. So basically, you have the NFT, and like if you have it, it's per se evidence that you own it correctly. Mm-hmm. Now, I didn't mean to pop Preston's bubble, but I said, who cares? And here's why. Because if you look at the trademark world, right, where you register a trademark, right, let's say you get ownership of that, right, and the federal government says this is yours. That doesn't automatically stop people from using it. The only way to stop people from using it is to sue them.
Okay,
which costs a lot of money.
Okay, so look at it a different way. It's basically okay. Look at it this way. An NFT community.
Yeah, that's what he started talking about.
Right? So here's what he's saying is it represents a certain community. So a community, so basically it's look at like a company and and your NFT in that, like the one I have is only 10,000 NFTs. So that means that company will only ever really have 10,000 shares.
Okay.
And so what you're doing is you're betting on that company is going to grow in value and that they're just getting started. The community of it, which in a sense is the company represents a company. The bigger that community gets, the more impact that they have, the more that your NFT, your stock, increases. But instead of all these millions of shares, there's only 10,000 stocks that will ever be.
Yeah, but I don't really understand what that means.
Because it's not. There's a lot of avenues and a lot of things to be clear about, and it's just getting started.
So you know the monkey picture thing. Mm-hmm. I don't know what he says that's worth, right? I just want to know.
That thing's worth. I just checked it the other day. It's worth like 175, 180,000.
So why doesn't Preston sell it?
Because it's just getting started.
Okay.
So who's going to buy that?
So if you bought Bitcoin when it was $1 and it hit $1,000,
who buys that though?
Let's do this. What were you going to say about crypto? Because we're getting off topic with this as far as the NFTs. Because I get what you're saying, and we'll talk about it here like in a second.
Yeah.
But what were you saying? Because we got to wrap the show up here because we're running over an hour.
What specific? Anything?
I don't know. Did you have anything specific about crypto?
No, just all the talk is that by the end of the year we're supposed to keep on going up. A lot of people are predicting this one guy on crypto Twitter who's huge with a huge following. His name's Plan B, and he's supposed to his stock to flow is over 100,000 to 115,000. Other people that I know that have been in the space just as long say 85 and that's it. We're going to find out within the next week or two. Will be a determination of what's about ready to happen for the rest of the year. Either way, by the end of the year, going into next year, we're going on the downside.
Yeah. What are you gonna? What do you think about crypto, real quick? Your thoughts?
I think I made my.
You've already made your decision.
It's a bubble.
It's a bubble. No.
I just think it's a bubble. But we could get into a whole episode why Brett can yell at me, disagree. But if I'm wrong.
So
it's just there's nothing you're going to say. It hasn't been said for 10 years and it's still here.
So
but that doesn't mean it's not a bubble.
For those people,
like
Brett,
you can't look at it that way.
I sent Brett an article this week that in this new $1.5 trillion package, they've got all this hidden stuff in there. Yeah. Just so everybody knows, the government actually is stepping up, and they have I don't know what you call it.
Go branded.
They got something in there that they're trying to control the cryptocurrency. It's in this new package.
Look, man, I told everybody that look, I'm not saying that don't go. I'm just saying that the government, if they see this and they see that it's starting to increase, people are starting to get to it.
Well, of course the government's going to be threatened by it, and then of course they're going to try to. But what I'm trying to tell you is, it's too late for them. If they wanted to really get involved where they could actually do something, it's like China.
Yeah.
China's like, no way, we're going to let someone take control of our currency. So they banned all the miners from doing it.
But
all that happened was go to everywhere else in the world, and it's business as usual.
China is another country that's a foreign adversary to the United States.
That's what I'm saying. So do you want China to have control of it first, or the United States?
Companies are totally controlled by the United States. It's not like they can say, I can go away from you, your orders, right? Pass a law, say you can't use it. I don't understand why they couldn't force that.
Because most of the world's not the United States, and it has
but we're
a
the
more
biggest,
positive impact than a negative impact anywhere else in the world.
But we're the biggest economy in the world.
So
we are the economy of the world.
Right now.
Right.
Good story.
So they passed that law. It's not used.
I don't care what they tried to. You can't shut down Bitcoin.
Well, I'm saying, why not?
Because you'd have to shut off all the electricity.
No, all I would say is you can't use it because the point of
then I would get a VPN and I'll set up an offshore account.
Right. So if you do that and you're a major company, I audit you and say you committed a felony and now I'm going to prosecute
That's just major companies in the United States.
Right, but which makes the leverage needed for this currency to stop being so volatile.
Well, when Elon Musk started Tesla and said, I'm going to change the world to electric cars, Ford and everyone else had all this time to do it. And they said, you're knowing. So we're running this world on oil. And here we are 25, 30 years later.
So here, just to give you a little bit of follow-up on it, Senator Ted Cruz is already speaking up against it and saying this isn't going to work.
Because it's too vague.
In my
it's
opinion,
too stupid. And
too much ambiguity.
Yeah.
What's not going to work?
The
current crypto laws they're trying to impose.
that they're trying to invoke, he's already stepping up.
Well, but the
and
thing
going,
is this: if they bring those laws, right? That's okay. Say that doesn't work. Now they're going to go back to their lab and they're going to say, okay, what other things or how can we change that?
by the time that happens, this will be even bigger and it'll be even harder to do.
Well, I think based on economic history, they'll be forced to. Because we created an economic system that's dependent on manipulation by the Fed and Congress and all that. That's the system we live in, right? That's why you had stimulus in 08. That's why you had stimulus in 19 that prevented.
But that goes back to Keynesian, and we fundamentally disagree on that right there.
Well, whether you disagree or not, it's the system that the United States
you're right, but it's a faulty system, and it's the anti-system for crypto.
It's the current system.
Yes, there you go.
It's the current system.
And so a lot of things are current right now. I'm telling you, a lot of things will change because change is permanent.
Well, let's just go back to trading. Remember when we used to trade like I got a loaf of bread and I'll take whatever you got.
The barter system.
The barter system.
All it is a shift in belief systems. Really,
it is a shift in currency.
But that's a shift in a belief system. What you think is valuable and what's not. I mean, a dollar bill is a piece of paper, but a $20 bill is worth $20 bills, and a napkin, which is also a piece of paper, is not.
You take it without question.
We all do.
Right, because of what it represents, and we trust what it represents.
So now think about the right now generation, that's 20 and under.
Every single person.
And think about them taking over the world in 20, 25 years.
That belief is changing.
I mean, it's
well, I think his point is they want a currency that's not government controlled.
The thing about Bitcoin, so here's the whole problem with any currency is that it's always run by humans, and humans sooner or later will manipulate it. It always has been and it always will be. Bitcoin is a mathematical program where it creates, number one, scarcity, which brings value in itself, and number two, it can never be manipulated by a human, ever, ever, ever.
Yeah,
but
that in itself,
listen, didn't
it's
Elon?
The pureness
listen,
of it.
I'm not saying cryptocurrency is not something you should invest in, but look at Elon Musk. He came in and said whatever he said about his stock or
there are still a lot of things that need to develop with it. Yes,
100.
Dude, anything that goes up or down right now in the crypto market is 100% manipulation.
Right, and I'm saying
anybody who says it because of this is full of shit.
So why is it different than stocks then at this point?
It's early on, so there's still a lot of things wrong with it that need to be worked on, no doubt.
My point is you cannot claim something's a currency if it's going up and down at these crazy rates that crypto does.
You can claim anything as anything if the belief system is there.
What would you say a currency is, right? I want some sort of stable mechanism to trade. That's why we use currency.
Okay, well, the Venezuelan dollar went down 95% in the past 5 years. How's that a currency? Yet it was a currency. It went down 95%. It was a
blown up currency.
Well, it's a currency, but it fluctuated 95% in value.
To Dan's point, right? The reason we use currency, if you're talking about trading, right, in the Wild West back in the day, and you lived on the farm, you'd come into town and you'd be like, I got this beefer, give me sugar.
Sure.
Right? Okay, here you go.
Because those currencies, what you're saying basically, are backed by gold, which brings it value. But the U.S. dollar is not backed by gold anymore.
Let me give you my point.
We're backed by petroleum.
It's just basic civics, right? He comes back 2 months later, wants more sugar. The guy's like, I don't want any more beaver things, right? I want a wagon wheel. So he has got to go find somebody who is willing to trade him a wagon wheel.
Yes.
It's very inefficient. So what they do is let's make this efficient by something.
Let's have a medium of exchange.
That's all it is.
Yes, correct.
And we recognize the value immediately, right?
Yes.
If I have to question that value, I'm like, I don't want that because I don't know what's going to be worth tomorrow.
We're early on it, but to counter that, you could say Venezuela's been a country for how many years? Their dollar fluctuated 95% in value in the past 5 years. How's that a currency?
They're an economic catastrophe because they don't have a currency.
Regardless, your argument was, how can that be a currency?
Okay, wait.
It's not.
Everybody,
Rick,
what do you think about all this?
Tell that to Venezuelan government 5 years ago.
What do you think,
I'm just
Rick?
saying.
Would you say stocks a currency then?
So the belief system.
So you say stocks a currency then? Because it's the same thing, right?
It's a form of currency.
It's a mechanism of trade. But
that's right.
It's a form of value.
But what makes the difference between a trade, like
The reason that stock is different is because it's been around so much longer. Period. And cryptocurrency has already changed in a matter of the last 10 years. Its original reason for it being made is not the same thing as it is today. It is already evolving, and it's going to continue to evolve. It's that simple.
Rick gets it 100%. That's why Rick and I get along.
Well, listen.
I don't think it can.
We're gonna have to end this show real quick. You guys got anything else to say? We ran over a little bit.
I like those questions though, man, because it's all legit things that people.
You got anything
have,
else to say,
you
Rick?
know?
What about you, Rick? You got anything else to say?
All those owners out there, give us a call, 702-916-2200. Look us up online, www.property-mgmt.com.
Brett, Jenny.
Make love, not war.
What is it?
Make love, not war.
Make love, not war. How does somebody get a hold of you, Brett?
What's your new
You're out
hook?
there, man.
What's your new hook, buddy?
Hey, hey, label yourself as what type of crypto agent you are.
Who are you?
Certified Bitcoin professional and a crypto certified agent.
Here's what I want you to do, man. I want you to get like a FBI badge. I want you to get in a badge and you just
and then when I
flash
walk around
it.
to people at the
When
grocery store, I don't know if you know,
just
but
come
I'm a
up to
crypto
them.
certified agent. Huh?
Yeah.
Flash it at your next
Can you
client.
move so I can get that loaf of bread? Thank you.
By the way, we're going to talk outside. I got to have some words with you. Right? Anything
You gotta have
else?
some words. I gotta have some. You want to throw fists?
Yeah, throw fist.
Caught hands.
Hands. How does somebody get a hold of you?
702-628-3476, 628-FIRM, BrettJenny.com, LVBrettTeam@gmail.com.
I love it, Brett.
The one and only.
You're an amazing person.
See you next
How
week,
about
kids.
you over here?
You can. The best way is just either you can go to dragonlawgroup.com. You can contact, email, phone, set up an appointment, and look. If you're out there listening, and if you have any sort of legal, even questions about it, don't feel intimidated. I know it's intimidating calling an attorney. I'm happy to talk to somebody for a half hour or so, try to help them out. I'm not going to charge you. It's nothing like that. So please feel free to give me a call.
All righty. We'll be back here on Tuesday. And, sorry, guys, we were going to dress up today, but some people did and some people didn't. So we'll have to see what happens in
Dan
Christmas. We'll have to see what happens.
Are you? You haven't Tuesday?
Yeah, we're going to dress up on Christmas, the Saturday before Christmas.
Are
I think
you
we're
sure?
going to do that. I think we're going to do it this time. I think we got enough time to plan. It's only, what, a
Ho,
month
ho,
away?
ho.
Only 4 weeks. Of
course.
You guys have any questions, right? You guys have any questions, please comment in the comment section. We'll answer your questions. I'm monitoring it. I think everybody on the show is monitoring it. Please hit the like button. We're trying to produce that content, and we appreciate you guys. We're trying to get to 1,000. I don't know why, but I think that's the number everybody talks about. 1,000. Subscribe to the channel.
Then we're real winners.
All right, we'll see you guys on Tuesday.